Well, hello and welcome to another episode of the Monday Night Threesome. And you know what? Let's actually do the theme today.
What?
Come and knock.
I just want to shake some sense into you kids.
I think we're all feeling that at this point.
Yeah, we are. Ugh. So I watched a few clips with that Phoebe steals a bridge or Phoebe smells a bridge or what the fuck her name is. And she's got the worst case of resting smug Brit face I have ever seen. And her accent and the way she talks. Oh my God. Repeal the 19th.
I saw the trailer for that thing and I knew it was not anything I wanted to be a part of. What was it? She's like, this is like, there was one part where she's like, this is late stage capitalism or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
That
And
wasn't even a phrase back then.
I was like, okay.
What they made up.
Anachronistically being Marxists in the middle of, a period of decadence. All right, I'm out. See ya. Have a good day.
Well, that late stage capitalism shit didn't even come around until the 2000s, until the late 2010s.
That's what I'm saying. Like, this is supposed to be like the 80s or something, isn't it? Like, or 70s
Yeah.
and crap. So it's like you're in a period of opulence for us, basically. Overproductive opulence. We were that was the time we were spending the subprime and doing the stupid things that we're paying for now, but still it was there. And so
we weren't doing any of that shit, man.
Well, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
we were
When corporate raiders were buying every functional company in America and ripping them apart and selling the parts to the Chinese and the Japanese.
Yeah, and selling, you could get a $300,000 condo on the beach for $30,000.
Yeah. Yeah, before before they took these houses they inherited or they bought real cheap and jacked up the prices and then sold them to developers to put in fucking shitty apartments.
Yeah, before they screwed up the land, all that stuff. I mean, but anyway, during the period of opulence, and she's talking late stage capitalism, which is, like you said, like a very anachronistic thing because we didn't even think about that until 20 or 30 years later. So it's like, this is really dumb.
No, and her whole, you know what? I am getting, I watch so many, I watch movies and TV and I read because, writers should watch media.
I read.
Movies. And I read, I'm a male. I figured out how to read. I was lucky. And I have the incredible
I know,
power.
right? We had comic books and,
Yeah.
We had, what was it, Bazooka Joe bubblegum wrappers,
Yes. Yeah. And Encyclopedia Brown, you had to read him. Because if you couldn't figure out those mysteries, the local nerd hit you in the back of the head with a fucking samurai sword. So that's why there's so few people that can't read.
Dude, there is a black guy that patrols the ghetto near my subdivision at night, or my house. Like I live in like a 30-acre compound, but like outside, if I want to go to town, I go through this one area. It's sort of like the ghetto. It's a bunch of like trailers and old car repair shops and like one church and one alcohol shop, right? There's a dude that patrols that area with a samurai sword and a straw hat.
Look, I don't fuck with mental illness. I'll fuck with a lot of shit, but I don't fuck with mental illness.
I want to take a picture with him, but I don't want to die.
But I'm so tired of. I see people that are built like this, Phoebe Wallbanger, and you see her fighting very accommodating stuntmen, and you think, one hit to all that baby maker crap in your gut, and you're folding like a cheap suit. Yeah. And I'm tired of it. I'm sick of it. I watched one movie recently. Me and Undead Ramen watched it. And the girl came in all smarmy and that dude hit her and she was out for the rest of the fight. And Dead was like, oh my God, that's so nice to see. Because that dude that hit her was like 6'8" and 500 pounds of muscle and steel. And she's like, I can take him. Yeah, sure you can. You wouldn't even notice your hits. I can't remember what movie it was. Because we watched a whole shitload of really shitty movies in a row just for fun. Because sometimes I'll finish.
It's just MS3 case and crap, like some Evil Dead or whatever, just stuff that's fun enough to hate.
But
make
plus,
fun of.
every clip I've seen of this, she is such a shitty fucking person. She's got no sympathy, and we're supposed to think she's so great because she originally was trying to steal the Dial of Destiny to sell it for her own money, and then I guess she decides to help Indy or some shit because who cares?
Well, I guess because I'm better than he is, and
Yeah.
And I am sick of the fact that all of our heroes are getting the bad ending of the Marty McFly series here. Okay. They're all pathetic. They're all divorced. They're all losers.
yeah,
I get it that they have issues because daddy hugged them too much or not enough. But a lot of people, especially people that excelled at stuff, didn't die alone in an apartment in their fucking socks. I mean, a lot of those people that did a lot of
what
shit.
you're saying is that's the way they wish all these people, they wish,
Yeah.
they hope that Elon Musk dies like this. They
See,
hope.
you shouldn't like Indy because people like him die alone in their apartment. No, they don't.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, okay. Ira Hayes died
People
drunk in a
like you
ditch.
die in your apartments and get eaten by your cats.
Yeah. They're trying to say, see, men can be cat ladies too. Well, no. Successful men often die surrounded by, 500 grandchildren.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm getting sick of it. I mean, they did it pretty much every single decent male character in anything Lucas did was, oh, see, he turned out to be a piece of shit. Luke, Han, everybody.
Yeah.
And,
Well, I mean, even Bond,
Yeah. I get Daniel Craig's Bond turning into a fucking hermit. I get that. But can you just stop, okay? We get it. You hate guys. Daddy hugged you too much or not enough, and Uncle Bad touched you. I'm sorry. But, most of us moved on from it. Once Uncle Bad Touch was done, we grew the fuck up and just came back and beat the shit out of me with a pair of brass knuckles.
Honestly,
Be a fucking
it's
adult.
not Uncle Bad Touch. It's the fact that the popular boy didn't date her.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, life doesn't turn out the way you wanted it to.
40 pounds overweight.
Yeah.
I'm surprised Janelle doesn't have any opinion yet.
Oh, I was letting RALT'S talk. I'm really tired, guys. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm
it's
here
just
listening.
the more I saw of the fucking cuts and the more I saw, I was like, I can't believe this shit. This is the kind of shit that they expect us to go out to see. And then they're mad at the viewing audience for not going to see it. We're racist and sexist because we didn't go
What's
see their
funny
shit
is-
pile
Who
movie.
wants to see the fucking woman that made the show Fleabag about how it's okay to be a hoe and try and seduce Catholic priests shit all over Indiana Jones? Fuck that woman. And now Kathleen Kennedy has the fucking vagina to say that she's going to be the new Indiana Jones. Bitch, please. We want Harrison Ford. It should have ended at Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Actually, it should have just ended at The Last Crusade. That was a fucking great movie. But okay, there's my piece on it. I can't stand Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Yeah.
Everything she touches turns to feminist shit.
The thing is, I don't even think millennials like her. There only seems to be one group of people who like her, and that is aging
Lesbian
boomer
wine
women.
ants.
Yeah, exactly. Aging boomer women who were really unhappy that they tried to have it all and got nothing.
Oh, fuck.
But I mean, Ralt summed it up in his rant perfectly. He hit it on a T. The fact we're supposed to like a woman who was stealing half the dial to fill her own pockets after it drove her father insane and leaves Indy locked in a cage where all the other stuff is with the guys that was just trying to kill him. Why the fuck should I like her? Seriously, I'm sorry. I fucking hate Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I think I already said that, but I don't think I want you guys to understand. I
think
dislike
the worst
this
part about
woman
Is
so
that it's
much.
basically a Zoomer or like antiquated boomer feminist checklist.
Yeah.
And it's other than that, it's not a story. It's not interesting. There's not really a conflict. It's just stupid.
Wait, do Zoomers even like this cunt? I don't think they do.
No, nobody
They're
fucking likes her
supposed-
except for Hollywood boomer women.
Yeah.
You're supposed to like her because they said so.
Oh,
Well, that and because it's look, we're making the disenfranchised woman the most powerful. She has all the power. She could leave, but look at her be virtuous. Look at her virtuosity as she comes back and helps him. Okay.
That helps him
that's-
out of the problem that she created.
Well,
Yeah.
I got to admit, let's be honest. Watching them fail this badly is hilarious.
Yes.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it took a box office.
I just think it's funny because like we're years after now. The movie that absolutely proved what people want to see. Top Gun 2 rocked the box office.
Oh
Fuck
yeah.
yeah.
Rocked it.
I still have to say one of my favorite scenes is where Goose's kid reaches down and finds all those fucking breakers and goes, "How the hell did my father do this?"
It's great.
Have you guys seen Maverick yet?
No, we haven't.
Oh my goodness, you guys need to watch Maverick because we all need to talk about the absolute brilliance of that film.
It's got its good part. It's got its really good parts.
Tom
It's got
Cruise
really good
put
parts.
his own
It's got
money
really
on
good
the line
dialogue.
to get that movie filmed while COVID was going on, to keep the jobs for all the people and also to get the movie out.
Actually, I was A, that's amazingly commendable, and B, I was really impressed by the fact that he put his ass up in the cockpit.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know,
by the
it's-
way, Tweldy, Doomcock is full of shit. Every time that he says that he's got information, it's turned out to be false. I don't trust that dude. I'm sorry if you guys all like him, but every other week he's saying Kathleen Kennedy is going to be fired. Haven't seen that shit yet.
Well, I do know because I own a couple Disney stocks that apparently there's something to vote on coming up.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
But see, who knows what it is? It could be something stupid like last time. I
Which
mean,
was
I didn't even I like scanned it. It was just some shit dealing with putting a couple people in places that I didn't care about.
Well, then
I voted
they,
no just to be an
fired the
asshole.
CEO that they just hired, and then they hired the old one back.
They might be doing that.
Bob Iger call has caused all the issues. Bob Chapek tried to mitigate it, and then they
fired
back
Chapek and brought Iger back. Yeah.
Yeah, when Chapek was there, he could at least keep Kevin Feige in line. He couldn't keep Kathleen Kennedy in line, but
Well,
I don't think anybody could at that point.
Kathleen Kennedy literally embodies the meme. Nice franchise you got there. Be ashamed if something happened to it.
Yeah.
I mean, she destroyed the Mandalorian.
Oh,
She destroyed the Mandalorian because it got popular.
John Favreau
She
killed
has
off his
destroyed
own character
Star
on
Wars.
the show because she would not stop interfering with that fucking show. And they made Katie Sackhoff the Mandalorian. Apparently,
I saw that.
Pedro Pascal's character really didn't account for much because, Dave Filoni, I'm sorry, I know Star Wars fans, you guys love him and kiss his ass. He's actually Kathleen Kennedy's little fucking imp.
bitch.
He's
Yep,
he is the little bitch. That's why Ahsoka never dies. Bitch should have been dead by the sequel trilogy. Apparently, according to Filoni, no, she's still alive. Bullshit. Ahsoka should not be around anymore. But oh no, his little boner creation that he's got has plot armor up the wazoo. You guys woke me up. Holy shit. I'm like very awake now because I'm angry as fuck.
I mean, they've ruined Star Wars. And the sad thing is there were some really good moments in Mandalorian. Not probably the ones that they wanted to be good. Like I thought the one episode was with the comedian, the redheaded comedian. Was it Bill Burr?
Oh, Bill Burr. He knocked that shit out of the park. He was so good.
Oh, good.
I quit watching it after they got rid of Gina Carrero. I said, you know what? Fuck you.
That's when Steve and I quit watching The Mandalorian too. Actually, that was the straw that broke the camel's back, and we got rid of Disney Plus. Like, nope.
Well, you got to remember, they thought the Mandalorian was going to flop so hard that instead they pumped out a bunch of Rose Tico action figures instead of giving people the one thing they wanted, which was a green space baby.
I was gonna say Baby Yoda, man. I wanted a Baby Yoda on my
It took them 6 months after Christmas to deliver the first Baby Yoda product. And even then, you could see Kathleen Kennedy just seething over it.
These are the people who missed the boat on Baby Groot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's true. That would
Now,
have
did
sold.
you notice though? There's a connection between Baby Groot and Baby Yoda. Both of them are in a huge high flying space battle, and both of them barf up candy after the flight. In Guardians of the Galaxy 2, when they're having a fight, Groot is eating candy and then pukes everywhere. Baby Yoda has a fight, or they're in an aerial fight, and they do a corkscrew spin, and then he barfs up his blue cookies.
Of course, because they
Yeah.
I mean, that's just
there's
that's
no
a trope.
creativity left, and
Yeah, that's just a trope. Yeah, I get what you're saying. But there's no creativity for any of that, and it's like, oh god, for Mandalorian they just went absolutely stupid. They
and I'll
were
admit,
bringing in like guest directors, and they'd come in and they're trying to, I don't know, they were idolizing and trying to relate the thing to obscure like 1920s Italian movies.
Oh,
I love
God.
Gina Carrero's character. I mean, I actually,
Oh.
you know what? Her character, I could buy her character lifting up a stormtrooper over her head and hucking him. She was a big bitch. I mean,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
and people were sending her photoshops of her character pregnant, and she would like retweet them and laugh about them.
Oh, she was so good. And the backstory, how she had the tear of Alderaan on her face.
Yeah.
She was actually one of the survivors of Alderaan. She was off planet as a Marine when what's his name, Tarkin, blew the planet up. So they even, that's one thing I liked about that show and her background. They went into how all the surviving people from Alderaan immediately joined the rebellion as Marines and went on killing sprees. They did not fuck around. They all became special forces. They were scary because they were hell bent on revenge. They lost their home planet.
I
And,
see that movie.
Great.
They tossed all that shit away because somebody didn't like what Gina Carrero said, so they canceled her.
You know what really sucks? Pedro Pascal tweeted the same fucking thing a month earlier.
Yeah.
Nothing happened. She tweets it. Boom, she's fired. And it wasn't even Jon Favreau that fired her.
No.
Kathleen Kennedy fired her again.
Yeah.
Jon Favreau said, no, I have 2 shows based around her, and we're going to lose part of the fan base. And she said no. And that was how she was able to get her fingers into The Mandalorian. She basically told Jon Favreau, you can't control your cast, so I have to do it for you. And then the 3rd season, from what I heard from everyone, was a huge stinking pile of shit. She's also the reason the Book of Boba Fett. Oh, good Lord.
I didn't even watch that. I'm sorry. I never understood the huge like for Boba Fett. I mean, he was a third-rate bounty hunter that got beat up by a blind dude. He wasn't that fucking impressive.
I knew many guys that were just like, Boba Fett's the greatest Star Wars character ever.
I mean, is it because
No,
of
it's
the
Han
later
Solo.
books though that were read?
No, it was. Trust me, it was before that. I mean, they acted like he was. He had a cult following since Empire Strikes Back.
I thought he had a cult following because his first appearance was actually the holiday special in the animated part. That's the first time you see Boba Fett.
He was a badass in the holiday special.
I know, he was the only good part of the holiday special.
Funny thing is I actually saved up the cereal box tops and mowed lawns to send away and get the fucking Boba Fett figure that you pressed on the back and it launched a missile. The first thing I did was shot my brother in the eye.
Wow.
Totally worth the ass kicking.
I would say so.
Did you guys ever read was it Shadow of the Empire? It takes place in between Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, Shadow of the Empire is my favorite of that trilogy.
I can't remember the mercenary's name, but he had that chrome-plated ship that reflected space, so you couldn't
the
see
green
it. It was
guy,
like,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember what his name is, but yeah.
Why the fuck was he not in the movies?
It reflected space.
It was some weird, like it looked chrome and it didn't reflect, and then like it would do that whole
Dude,
oh,
Star
God,
Wars has
what
always
is
been
that? But I
space
can't think
fantasy.
of it
Leave it
now.
alone.
Okay, yeah.
Ash
You know
Rendar,
what?
thank you.
I can't talk too much shit. Okay, I can't talk too much shit. But it's just the space. That's not how it. Wow, everybody gets to hear me say it. That's not how this works. That's not how it works. Because usually people are saying that to me.
Yeah, shut up. It's a book.
Shut up, it's a book.
I think Boba Fett, his popularity was strictly on the fact that he had a cool character design.
Yeah, he did. He did.
Character design. He had an imposing presence in Empire. His
Why did
debut
his ship
in
look like a clothes iron? Why did his ship look like an iron?
I don't know.
Well, you know what killed me is the guy that plays Boba Fett, Tamiro Morrison. Have you seen that guy? He's fucking yoked. He does bodybuilding.
Yeah.
And they made him look so fucking weak ass.
Well, they had to make all the girls and everybody else look awesome.
I mean, go look up the movie, was it Once Were Warriors? Holy shit, that's the movie that made him a star. And
that was actually that was based on a book that was written in New Zealand.
Yeah, that was fucked up.
It's brutal as fuck. Like he's not a good guy. But you know that continues. Like that book series went on, and there were 2 more movies made. He starred in both of them, and he actually redeems himself by the end of the series. He does some it's a lot better. Like in the first one, like his daughter gets raped by one of his friends. And she kills herself, and then he kills the guy with I don't know if he kills him, but he
doesn't kill him. He breaks a wine bottle and castrates with him. He literally scoops his balls and dick with this.
Oh, okay. So that's what happened. Okay.
Yeah, it was fucking great.
In the second one, one of his sons is being recruited by the gangs, and he literally he starts to go to this I don't know, it's like a father fellowship kind of thing. And they're helping him out, and then he's like, I have to go, and they loan him a car, and he literally takes the gangs on for his kid, and goes to his daughter, and he tells him, or goes to his wife rather, and says he's sorry, and she's like, that's the first time you've ever told me that.
Yeah, he's a piece of shit in the first movie because he beats his wife. And when he first sees the accusation about his friend raping his daughter, he tries to beat his wife, saying that she's lying about his mates. And it's actually his son finds the daughter's diary and hands it to him and forces him to read it. And he reads the diary, and this realization comes over his face that it was actually his friend. And the sad thing was his daughter, after she was raped, is really depressed. Yep. And he takes her diary and basically calls her a piece of shit and a loser and tries to burn it. That's the final straw when she kills herself.
Well,
he's a horrible person.
Yeah, he rips it apart.
Yeah,
okay. But then he gets a redemption arc, which is difficult to do for somebody that dark. That's difficult to do, but you don't see that anymore.
He does. He literally gets almost beaten to death because the gang comes at him, but he takes the beating because what happens is his, it's like old school, right? And they're was it Tamak, the old
Maori.
New Zealand way. Well, they're Maori, no, but it's the particular writing they have on. They do away with part of their tribe, and it's like the Tamak, and it's something to do with it. But the only way to get out, if you're accepted, is to be beaten out. And his son is is already dying, he's been shot, so he'd die. And he's like, then beat me.
Okay, so shit's blowing up outside because it's nearing 4th of July.
Oh yeah, I know. That's why I'm glad we're having a stream.
That's why I'm tired, because some motherfucking kids rolled up into our park at 3:00 in the morning and started launching fucking bottle rockets and Roman candles, scaring the shit out of everybody in the neighborhood.
Did you let off a couple BB shots? I would have.
No, I was so tired anyway. I was like, maybe that was just it that one time. Boom, happens again. I was like, motherfucker.
It happens when there's fireworks.
Well, yeah, so I just popped a Xanax, and I don't know how long I'm going to last, but there is a topic I need to bring up before I crash out, if I do.
Do so.
Okay.
And this has gone viral, and I think it's right for this show, because, it's time to shake some sense into you kids.
Okay.
Who let Gen X off the hook? Why aren't we talking shit about those guys?
Because, sir, we will fuck you up. We fought in real life, not on the internet. We are the last generation of feral children. We didn't have safe spaces. We didn't have trigger warnings. No one was allergic to fucking gluten. We mind our own business. We are older than Google. We are not the bigger person. Leave us alone.
I had to do
It's not wrong. I've been seeing so many millennials and Gen Zers come after Gen X all of a sudden because
Yeah.
they
What's up
know
with that?
that we're better than them and they fucking hate it.
Where did this shit come from? What the fuck's going on?
It's
Well,
because
because you
Millennials always
have
think you'd have to ignore us.
tiny losers, and they've been called out by Gen X, and Gen X takes care of its own shit. And so now they're all upset because Gen X has made them look bad. So they've got to make up shit and get all like, oh, Gen X got let off the hook. They're just as bad as boomers. Fuck you.
Bitch, you know what? I'm going to say it. They don't get to bitch. They want to bitch. They want to complain about what the boomers did to the economy. Eat a fucking dick, you little crybabies.
Yeah, they continued it.
They destroyed the boomers. Destroyed the economy right when we turned about 16 to 20.
Yeah.
Absolutely destroyed it. And then pulled the ladder up behind themselves. And then made it so that, well, we had to get college. And without college, you couldn't fucking get a job. And all of a sudden, you needed a fucking college degree to work at gas stations for a while.
I remember that.
Then, let's see, they put our grandparents in old folks' homes so that they could steal the inheritance. And oh, by the way, they spent our inheritance on you little faggots. They took you on trips to Disneyland with our inheritance because it's my money and I want it now. Oh, and you know what else?
Sticker? Do you remember the bumper sticker that they would
Which
drive?
one?
It was the very popular bumper sticker, I think, in the 90s, where it said, "I'm spending my my kid's inheritance."
Yes. Yeah. And then let's not forget, you want to know what happened to our grandma's jewelry? You want to know what happened to great grandma's jewelry? The boomers traded it in through the mail for gold in the 80s and 90s. They put it in the fucking envelopes and they sent it off and they got back pennies on the dollar.
Yep.
And let's see.
No, look, my mom
the housing
did that
market.
to me. When I went to SDSU, I found out she took part of the money that was supposed to be for me to go to SDSU and bought herself a brand new fucking Jeep.
Yep.
How about the fact that they purposely tooled Social Security specifically to jack us?
Yeah, so that we wouldn't get it.
Yeah, we're not going to get shit. I'm sorry. I know our parents are boomers, and some of us don't like our parents and have legit reasons why. They're the greediest, most evil generation. I felt sorry for the greatest generation watching their kids destroy the country. You know what my grandfather did to my mother? This is great. She was talking about the inheritance she was going to get, and my grandpa said to her, "What are you talking about? You're not getting an inheritance. I work too damn hard. I'm spending my money. You get nothing."
Did she put him in a home? Because that's what most of them did. Let's get into the housing market. Let's get into what they did to the housing market, which was destroyed all the small homes to build McMansions.
Yeah.
And then what do? When it becomes time for, Gen X to maybe inherit a few houses, fuck you. They they either destroyed them or they sold them to developers. They did everything they could. And if you want to talk about how it was to be a kid, you little millennial and Zoomer fucks can kiss my fucking dick. The majority of us were handed a house key and pushed out the door at 6:30 in the morning. We came home after school. We took care of our little brothers and sisters. We made fucking dinner. We didn't see our parents maybe until 10 or 11 if they didn't come home drunk and beat your ass.
Oh yeah,
And on the
how
weekends,
many times my parents shipped my ass off to my grandparents' house or just left me home alone so they could go get fucked up at Sunday brunch. Yeah.
Of course, they made it illegal about the time we grew up.
Yeah.
And let's not forget how often they left us in the car while they went into the bar.
Oh my God, I should be dead. How many times I have been left in the car. My mom took me to work while she was working at General Dynamics and worked a full fucking shift while I sat in the car. I wasn't allowed inside. General Dynamics was classified top secret.
Remember how many times you lean out the window and wait? Remember waving at the other kids in their cars?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. They don't get the millennials and Gen Zers. Why do we get let off the hook? Well, number one, we're not going to let you put us on a hook.
No.
We didn't let our parents put us on a hook because you want to know what? The boomers hate us because we stopped the party. We ended the party. They didn't get to have it all. They didn't keep getting to have the summer of love. We fucked up the party and they punished us for it. And here's the other thing. We won our wars.
Mm-hmm.
You lost both. Oh yeah, it was the fucking boomers who did it, because the same generals who were in charge of Vietnam and post Vietnam are the ones who fucked up your war, because you couldn't wait to get rid of the good ones. But yeah. And then you let it happen. You fell for the division of Occupy Wall Street. You fell for the same. They tried that shit during the World Trade riots, and we told them to go fuck themselves. They started talking about privilege this and privilege that. They came up from Evergreen College, which is a known glowy college, and they tried that shit, and all they got was punched in the fucking mouth. You know how I know? Because I was out there throwing bricks.
Yay! You know, the other thing that really pisses me off is now that the boomers are all on the verge of dying, is it just me or do they seem like they're hell-bent on and determined to spend every last bit of wealth in this country?
Oh, yeah.
Before they're gone. And
yes.
Fuck everyone else.
Yeah.
Fuck everybody. You know, hey, what about what you're leaving for your grandkids? Oh, fuck them. You know, and you know what I used to hear from boomers all the fucking time when I worked at the bar? Why do I have to pay taxes? I don't have kids in school.
I mean, some of that is an absolute diaspora and dissemination of the family unit, which has been happening for more than just like, I mean, it's been happening for like 50 years, 50, 60 years. You know, I mean, we used to have like the whole reason why the country got so big is because we had like families were one unit. You know what I mean? Like you had a family, you might have had 40 acres. You had the whole family on that 40 acres. Yeah. You know, you had 2 or 3 generations on that, on like 8 families on that 40 acres, and they helped each other and they made each other and they shared each other and they grew stronger in that unit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and they got rid of it.
Exactly. Then like after like the Greatest Generation, it's like, no, we're not poor anymore. You know, get out.
Yeah.
Well, you said this has been going on between 50 to 60 years, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you say 60 years, you're basically saying that's the beginning of Gen X. When our parents started having kids.
That they started ripping everything up. Yeah.
Well, you know,
because then it's the same thing as like the grandparents
kids too. The majority of boomers had us because they felt like they had to. I know all of us at one point have talked about how both of our parents have said, I didn't really want to have kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. My dad left my mom when I was a year old and started a new life with another woman because he didn't want to take care of a daughter or be married. And luckily he had a friend that just had a major divorce and told my dad to wake the fuck up, get his head out of his ass, grow up and go be a man.
And then, you know, they're standing there. Oh, Russia, you don't know what it's like to live with the threat of nuclear war.
Oh, fuck you.
Suck
oh
my dick.
God. That's another one that pissed me off. When I heard them say nobody understands the threat of nuclear war, fuck you. That was our life. Every single sci-fi film was a nuclear holocaust.
Did you not see Red Dawn?
Did you not watch Tommy Turtle in the Classroom?
Did you guys not watch The Terminator? Or Mad Max?
I did a musical play when I was 8 years old on how everything was going to die in a fucking firewall.
Because your teacher was nuts.
No, not my
I had a second grade
class. During vacation Bible school, that was the staff member there. And that was the play we did for fucking vacation Bible school.
No, the thing that really pissed me off was when you got all these millennials that were going on about, oh yeah, well, you know, why don't we just nuke fucking Russia? And I kept trying to explain to them why this was a bad idea, and they were telling me I was fear mongering, and I didn't know anything about what it was.
And then War Games came out, and they went, oh,
like,
oh.
I had somebody do that to me.
Really?
I had a fucking millennial tell me, you have no idea what, you know, we could nuke Russia. And I was like, no, we can't. They can retaliate. Oh, what would you know? Well, I know plenty. I tried to explain my background. And they're like, oh, it doesn't matter. That was the 80s.
Oh, fuck you.
Fuck you, you little, you know. Oh, I read
that. Is one of the most annoying things. Like Google is a great blessing. It's also a horrible curse, because every fucking moron thinks because they can find a peer-reviewed, like barely substantiated paper that is the absolute fact and immutable truth of the universe.
Well, Wikipedia says that only 2,000 rounds chemical rounds were moved out of Europe at the end of the Cold War. I had more than that in one bunker. And I know I moved them out. I helped move them out. They moved to Johnston Atoll. They were destroyed on Johnston Atoll because it was, I think, 22 cargo ships left Bremerhaven loaded with chemical weapons and nuclear artillery shells. And you hear that? Oh, they were never deployed. No, they were stored. They were stored in depots. Forage, storage, and transportation site.
And I
classified as a depot.
I fucking swear. Our parents were so hell-bent that the world would end in nuclear fire. They're trying to make it happen before they leave.
Yes. Yes, because God forbid they're wrong. Yeah. Oh, you know what? I had some genius try to tell me that we shouldn't, that if Bradleys and Abrams are sent to Ukraine, which, number one, trusting a Slav with advanced equipment, LOL, that they can't fight there because, get this, they weren't designed for the terrain of Eastern and Western Europe.
What?
That they were designed for the Gulf.
They were meant to fight in Europe.
Wow.
We thought the future battlefield was going to be Europe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I had this. Well, they can't move through the mud. I'm thinking,
what?
I've seen them move through Graf. And it's just unbelievable how
they literally trained those things in the swamps.
Yeah.
They literally drove them through the mud of Grafenwehr, where the mud was like 3 feet deep. And they just keep right on going through. And I mean, it's like, oh, well, what would you know? Motherfucker, what do you think I was doing in Europe for 5 years? Besides banging hookers, smuggling midgets, and getting so shit-faced I couldn't remember my name.
Hey, I do want to point out one more thing, going back a little bit about millennials and Zoomers saying we don't understand the fear of nuclear war. 2 very important movies came out in the 80s that scarred an entire generation.
Threads.
The Day After and Threads.
Yep.
So fuck you saying that we don't know the fear of nuclear war. Those 2 movies were well researched and they showed what life would be like if we got nuked.
Every month you had Tom Brokaw or that other fuckhead, the one that got busted, the one that got fucked up for falsifying news stories. But he was really big in the 80s and 90s. Every month he was on there, and we have never been closer to nuclear war than this moment. No, not Brokaw.
Oh, Brokaw?
Yeah, Tom Brokaw was like, oh, we have never been closer to nuclear war than this moment. Oh, fuck you, Tom.
I still remember, I was saying earlier, I remember being in 2nd or 3rd grade and our teacher taking us through nuclear fallout, strategies. And I remember thinking if this stuff burns through buildings, how's my desk going to stop it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think because the original bombs were atomic bombs, not nuclear bombs. So you actually did have a chance. When they went nuclear, fuck it.
Actually, your chances were better with hydrogen bombs.
Really?
When I saw,
they're cleaner.
What I saw is one of the savage things that we did ever that they don't talk about enough was it the napalm and then the white phosphorus. Because the pictures of that stuff coming out of Japan were
Vietnam, not Japan.
I was going to say, I thought it was Vietnam because that picture of that 9-year-old little girl on fire, naked, running down the street.
Well, what I saw was
horrifying things
there was a mother that was she got under a bridge, and so she was protected, but 1 inch of the baby she was carrying on the back wasn't protected, and it went all the way through.
Yeah,
it just melted right through the baby. So she was literally carrying just the skull of the baby was exposed.
I will admit it. I called in napalm on people. Napalm's great. I called in white phosphorus on people. That shit's great. I've got little speckles on my arm from having to slap mud on my arm and then put it in water so the medic could pick it out with pinchers.
Well, let's take it.
What's that shit they put in there? You put in the water to make it glow? You guys carried it in your aid bags?
I have no idea. I went in during Desert Storm, so they didn't have that stuff.
No, what I wanted to say about the getting under your desk or hiding behind the desk, there was a logic to that. Our parents, the boomers, really belittled it as it being stupid and foolish. But all of that was based on Hiroshima and Nagasaki and how the injuries were caused.
Mm-hmm.
Collapsing buildings.
Survived.
Collapsing buildings and flying glass.
Right.
Yep.
Well, I knew about that, but she was saying that it would protect us from the fallout, and I was like,
no.
No. I meant collapsing buildings. I'm sorry, I didn't mean the fallout. No, I thought like
No,
it was the
I don't mean. I
flying
wasn't
shards
talking
of
about
glass.
you. I was talking about our teacher at the time.
Oh,
Fallout was so overrated too. They act like if you got it on you, you'd immediately melt. You just brush that shit off. I mean, well, see, hydrogen bombs. Okay, modern bombing strategy uses airbursts, high altitude airbursts, because you get a better coverage. That means you don't have as much debris uptake. They've altered it. Well, it's still dangerous as fuck. Depends on. Oh god, I went into a huge fucking rant on this once. But modern nuclear weapons do less long-term damage than the old ones, unless they've got a salted jacket, which the MAD versions do. There's two types. You've got your standard. We might have to use nukes, and then we've got the everybody on the planet dies.
And
but even then,
Russians favor that.
What?
Don't the Russians favor salted nukes?
I've
heard ours are cleaner.
Ours are cleaner, and ours have better terminal guidance.
And
we don't really know that much. We don't really know that much because when each side went in and watched the other destroy nukes at the end of the Cold War, I heard from people who were there. I mean, directly from people who were there, that some of those they opened them up and they didn't even have the components inside.
Oh, jeez.
I had heard that theory that a lot of the nukes were empty.
It was like the biggest. It was like, oh my god, all those nuclear weapons we thought you had, and half of them are rocks. Well, it kept you from launching. Point.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you know what? And here's the other thing. You can tell that it's boomers, Gen Z, and millennials who support this Ukraine crap, because all the Gen Xers are old enough to know Eastern Europeans just fucking fight. Okay, they fight over everything. They always have. Who gives a shit? Okay, like I've said before, I want somehow Ukraine and Russia both to lose. I don't know how. I want them both to lose. I especially want Grifty Z to lose. God, I'm so sick of him coming up and bugging me for $20 every time I turn around. Well, get a job.
Grifty Z is going to eat it if he keeps supporting Nazis.
Well, the funny thing is have you seen their Minister of Defense? The woman who's their Minister of Defense? No. Before the war started, she had an A cup. Now she's got double D's. Gee, I wonder where our money's going. Oh, and here's the best thing. I don't know if you guys are paying attention. France, right? Well,
France is nuts right now.
No. I got something really good about that. It ties into all of it. Okay. Exactly what us Gen Xers said was going to happen happened because they gave a bunch of fucking weapons to fucking Slavs, a bunch of potato hoarding garbage goblins, and they give them advanced weaponry. Guess what's popped up in France? The same weapons we gave to Ukraine.
Really?
Now, you guys know what's going on in France right now. They're having their own George Floyd incident.
Yeah, but they have RPGs and machine guns.
Yes. All from Ukraine. It's fucking hilarious.
Like half that country's on fire right now.
Well, that's like, you had all these guys.
The internet off?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they were showing pictures of the Eiffel Tower with the buildings around it on fire.
Yeah, I mean, they're I swear in some of the footage I've seen mortar fire. This is not a riot.
No, this is civil war.
No, I was gonna say
it's an insurgency. Revolution. It's not a revolution. It's an invasion force finally fucking acting. They've been stockpiling weapons for 10 fucking years. Then they've been buying them from the Ukraine. Gee.
Okay, so if you're talking about who I think you're talking about, these are the guys that started with Charlie Hebdo and have been going nuts since.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. No. I'm going to say it right now. The people of France are not going to win. They're fucked.
Well, I love that video of that there's an old lady who's obviously a boomer, some old French woman who's obviously a boomer, pleading with the police not to hurt the rioters as they run by her.
That old lady,
I wanted to see her. You know what? I am so sick of boomers pulling this shit, and they taught it to our retarded fucking grandkids. Oh God.
Okay.
I want to see somebody hit her in the face with a baton. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of these fucking protesters.
Can I?
Sorry, it's your camera. Go ahead.
A little something here just to give the audience a taste of the 80s. Okay.
The skeleton of a bird.
When you hear the attack warning, you and your family must take cover at once.
This time, they are playing with, at best, the destruction of life as we know it, and at worst, total annihilation. You cannot win a nuclear war!
Is it for real? Attack warning's for bloody real. Is it?
Imagine that being shown at least 2-3 times a year.
That movie scared the shit out of me when I first saw it.
That
It was
was
horrifying when that woman's holding her charred newborn.
Once I was in what I was in, we would watch that and get drunk and laugh at it.
Really?
Yeah.
How come?
Yeah, because it was funny, because that's what we were going to do to the world.
Oh, Tweldy said that the old woman was shot by an Islamist as she was saying, "Don't hurt them."
France is gone.
That would be funny. You know, I'm tired of these fucking protesters. I really am. You know, these fucking, you know what I can't stand about millennials and Gen Zers? You know, not every one of them, not all of them. Okay, I'm gonna back some of them.
I think
not every one of them are fucking retarded.
Okay.
Not every one of them, but you know, they need to do what the Gen Xers did, was we policed our own and made our imbeciles shut the fuck up, wear the fucking brain bucket, and sit at the back of the bus and lick the window. Okay.
Remember when they were all singing "I'm a Loser, Baby"? We all hated them.
Yes. Oh
yeah, but there are too many of them to do that.
No.
You a great number of them.
You know what? They need. You know what? I want the cops to treat them the way they treated us. I mean, when I was rioting for the fucking World Trade Organization shit in Seattle, I got hit in the face with a baton. I hit with 2 rubber bullets. I still kept hucking bricks. But I want them to treat them like they used to treat us. You know, I want these fucking protesters who go out there in the, you know, with their nice clothes and, you know, these are the sons of fucking millionaires. I want the cops to do to them what they did to us when we tried to protest at our schools. You know, for all the boomers shit talking about how, you know, oh, protest is the way to change the world. In the 80s, when we tried to protest shit, they sent the cops, and the cops would beat on teenage girls with batons.
Yeah.
But, you know, oh, protest is the way you do it. Yeah, well, when we tried to, and see, that's why, you know, so many Gen Xers have this policy. Once my boomer parent has to go into a home, it will be the finest in crooked homes with the most non-English speaking nurses who will steal their medication because you know what? You get what you fucking deserve.
Yeah.
Well, fortunately, that's not a problem for me. I'm not speaking to my parents ever again. So
I'm lucky. Mine died. You know, like I told my brother, at last we are free. You know,
yeah.
Do I harbor a terrible hatred? Yeah. I mean, Gen Xers had the thing where, you know, there was a little girl who didn't show up for school after summer break because her parents beat her to death. You know, we all had that. We all had that in our homeroom. We all knew the little boy that came to school with black eyes and shit. Nobody ever did anything.
Oh, that was me.
Yeah, no, that was me too. We all knew the girl who definitely had somebody bad touching her because about the time that she decided to regain control of herself by, you know, sleep with anybody who smiled at her. That's why I don't blame, you know, that's why I don't really go off about sluts because, you know, a lot of times they didn't start out sluts. They were made into them. And what it does to you.
I'm graduating from 8th grade. It's the big party afterwards. It's just us kids at the school. And I wind up, you know, happen to be in the bathroom with a girl who I shared a couple of classes with. So we were friendly, but I wouldn't say that we were friends. And she just opened up on me and said how the week before she had had an abortion.
Oh.
You know, and shit like that. And she just needed a human being to talk to her about it, not to. And it's like, oh, you're so stunning and brave, just to be human with her.
Well,
And
they think all this trying to sexualize kids is new. They used to flat out say, "Children are sexual beings too, man."
Oh God, I remember that.
And then they molested the neighbor girl, or you.
I'm from the South, so yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, this is not a new thing.
That's I don't want to say it's normal, but it's happened enough that it's not uncommon.
Yeah,
and a lot of times the parents knew. I mean, when I was in Kentucky, I remember when I was first starting college, I was like 18 years old, and my friend wanted me to date this 15-year-old girl, and I was like talking to her, and I'm like, okay, my parents are 4 years apart. This is okay. I don't like it, but it's okay. And then I talked to her. She's like, oh, well, I dated a 35-year-old guy. He was a trucker.
How old was she?
15.
When I was 13, I heard the worst possible thing you can ever hear. I mean, this was so fucking horrible that all of you are going to hate me.
Okay.
I had a girl look at me and look down and go, it's not as big as my dad's if you want to put it in my butt.
Oh God.
Oh my God.
You guys saw that campaign they've been doing in parts of Florida where it says she's your daughter, not your date. Because apparently there's been such a rash of fathers raping their daughters. They had to put up billboards to tell them to stop.
Yep, I heard that, and I went back out to the party, and my friend is like, you don't usually drink. Why are you drinking a whole bottle of Jack Daniels? And I'm like, take me home, drive me home, get my truck and drive me home. Like, drive me home. It's like, come on, she was all over you. I'm like, drive me home.
You ever heard the story from the guy that wrote Fight Club? Before he wrote Fight Club, Palahniuk, Chuck Palahniuk. He was in a bunch of he wrote for TV shows, stuff like that. Yeah. And he talks about one time this interview where he's in one of those and they're all and he got everybody to share just share the weirdest thing, or this, something different that they don't think anybody else has done. And then all of a sudden, they were sharing stories they had written and everything. And then this one girl shared her story, and at the end of it, it was like a sex story, and it was, and she had this pudding in her hand, and the end of the story was it was like my grandfather's cum.
Oh, he told us no, he somehow gets into situations where he hears these stories because later on, the woman that wrote the movie Wild explains that when she found a dying baby bird, that she, when she holds it, and she's trying to crush the life out of it, it felt like her grandfather's penis when it was ejaculating. And I guess she told that story to him too. Like, the guy hears the most fucked up stories. I heard it all on Joe Rogan. He talked about it.
And he says that he promotes. He wants them to tell him these weird things, and he wants them to share it.
I heard some of the most horrible shit. I mean, I get get some drinks into private, getting to know them, and holy fuck, they would say them. When I was in college, get a couple drinks into them, and they would tell me the most horrible shit, and I'd go home, and I'd be like, "What's wrong?" And I'd tell her, and she'd be like, "Do you want to lay on the couch and have a beer and have the kids sit with you?" I was like, "Yes, please." I mean, and then you got the millennials and you got Gen Z going, why are they off the hook? Bitch, come at me. Gen X has seen the worst humanity has to offer. I mean, we don't trust the CIA because we remember when the CIA was busy raping nuns.
Well, what it is that we didn't talk about it, we dealt with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've taken a bat to a few people.
My preference was brass knuckles.
With it that needed some attitude correction. That needed some life adjustment. But broken arm will do that.
Threads. We would live under this, and now we hear, oh, you don't understand what it's like to have to live under the threat of nuclear war, to have Russia threatening to bomb us. Fucking please.
That was a normal Tuesday for us.
Yeah, that was Tuesday. You don't know what it's like to have Iran, Iran threatening terrorist attacks. Wow. I want to say something. When was the last time you heard about an airplane exploding in midair?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I grew up in the 70s and 80s. They called that Tuesday.
It was the skyjackings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was just, that went on for what? How many years?
About 20, maybe 30.
Yeah, where it just kept going every other few weeks. Another one would get jacked.
Yep.
It got to the point where people weren't flying to the Middle East anymore because
people weren't flying to Europe anymore.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
I feel like for a while we talked people out of doing stupid things, and then people started doing stupid things again. Like they're just like, oh, you know what? The cartel down there in the temples of Mexico, they're not really that bad. We're just gonna jet ski down there for our honeymoon, and then heads get sent back.
We knew all this shit. We all knew this shit. We knew Mexico was a fucking hellscape, a fucking automatic gunfire. We knew, and they're like, oh, you didn't have a world like this. It's like, motherfucker, are you kidding? They hung a fucking. We watched on nightly news when they hung a dude in Iran. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Sorry, I just had a brain fart. I've been getting a lot.
Or how about Rwanda? Or
oh Jesus!
Was it? Oh God! Black Hawk Down. That
Somalia.
Oh, that was Somalia.
Yeah, remember Somalia? Remember in Somalia where you were watching the news and you see the captured soldiers, their corpses being dragged through the dirt.
Oh my God, that was fucking horrific.
Yeah,
and
I remember.
The Rwandans are all partying.
I remember watching that because I grabbed something and hucked it across the room and yelled, "Why aren't we doing something?"
Yeah, thanks, Bill Clinton. That was all Clinton. He fucked up so bad that he called up the families and personally apologized to them, and pretty much all of them said, "Fuck you! You sent my child to die."
Well, I think it's Somalia that what caused them to lose their fucking mind was the French army. If first thing you can depend, if the French get there first, that within 72 hours they have a child prostitution ring going.
Damn.
It's not a joke either.
No.
I mean, I think that's what caused them to snap. And we're still there. We're still involved in there.
Of course we are.
And they're like, oh, you don't know what it's like. It's like, shut the fuck up, okay? I mean, that's like, oh, the economy's bad. It's like, you guys are old enough to remember this. Remember how you bought vegetables and fruit in season?
Yes.
Yeah.
It wasn't 24/7. You could go down and get oranges at the store cheap. Oranges were like fucking expensive as fuck out of season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that was like the whole meeting. Was it Trading Places? Or wasn't it? That was like at the end. That was the whole thing about that.
Yeah, the whole they fucking faked the they faked some shit for the crop investments. But yeah,
they made it seem better than it or worse than it was. So the people sold and they bought, and then they had to buy the futures that they had sold so that they could make more money
because they shorted stocks.
Yeah, they shorted.
Yeah. They're like,
it was actually really well done. If you watch it, it's
film.
Exactly. They actually like the numbers they tout are exactly what they would have needed. Like they made back in those days, the films were correct if they
actually did research.
Yeah.
And I mean, it pisses me off, that it's like, oh, why did we let Gen X off the hook?
Go fuck
Nobody
yourself,
let us off the hook, you little punk.
Well,
and here's the thing,
they think that because we don't talk.
The first one of the, back in the day, back when I was young, back when I was a teenager, and one of those YouTube pranksters or one of those Twitch pranksters or TikTok pranksters had done some shit, we'd have beat them almost to death.
Well, I mean, isn't that kind of why, like, when there are us that are like kind of whiny bitches, we sort of look down on them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's always been the case.
Like when I see the outrage merchants that are Gen X, I have there's a certain place in my heart that I'm like, you're a piece of shit.
Yeah.
It's like, I should have shoved you in a locker when I had the chance.
Like you're a weak bitch, and now you're just saying you're a weak bitch.
The thing is, usually those merchants or outrage merchants are spoiled rich fucks from Beverly Hills or Manhattan.
Yeah,
they've all got rich backgrounds. You never,
Yeah.
I mean, and it. Yeah. Oh, okay. Go ahead. Come at me. I mean, what are you gonna tell me? Because I know a way to start a fucking fight at the VFW, or anywhere else, almost no time flat.
your language is invalidating my identity. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah. Your identity. Who gives a shit? I mean, God, I'm tired of everybody's feelings. They taught us that nobody can make you feel a way. You're responsible for your own feelings. You're responsible for controlling your emotions and controlling your feelings. And now,
those are good lessons we got.
And never give in to suicide baiting.
Yeah.
Never give them attention for suicide baiting. If they want to do it, then they're going to fucking do it. Okay. Yeah. They don't give in, listen to somebody who's serious, but these people that if you don't give me cookies, I'll kill myself. Well, fuck you. Here's a poison cookie,
Yeah.
I think that's another thing that maybe that's why Gen X doesn't give a fuck is just how many of the losers killed themselves before 20.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people killed themselves.
Yeah. And, part of it was, they thought that we were going to die in nuclear fire and they couldn't take it. And let's not forget drugs. Fuck, our parents fucking handing drugs out to everybody so they could be their own little druggies too. Yeah. Fuck. Alcoholism. Most of us were fucking drinking by the time we were 15 because why not?
Well, I mean, we were when SSRIs and like the beginning level of like Adderall and shit was really big. And it was like, oh, here you go. SSRIs. This takes care of everything.
Yeah.
Well, not really. But okay.
Oh God, that's like the California school system would give kids that were hyperactive red Kool-Aid at the beginning of the day and at lunch. Take a wild guess what was in the red Kool-Aid.
Lithium.
Yeah.
Hey, Kat, do you care to tell, or should you don't want to skip the being left in a dark room for hours on end because mom?
I can talk about that.
Bring it out, baby. Really... Sorry.
Well, story of my life from basically age 2 to age 15. The constant was being left in a dark room with nothing but a television, all by myself. Mom would put me in with a babysitter during the day who, had the kids out in the yard. Oh, they're all playing, they're having fun. And then once all the kids were dropped off, we were all locked in a room with no toys, no bathroom, just the television. I was 2. And it was like that until I was 4 years old. And if we made too much noise, she'd come in and scream at us and she'd beat us. This babysitter, Adrian. There was a short time there where things were okay. And then my mom's boyfriend left her. And she basically told me flat out she resented being a mother. And I would wind up being abandoned in strange people's houses with nothing but a television, no food. I would get a bathroom, but that was it. And that was me until high school.
Well, mom was out dating.
My mom was out dating and being with strange men.
Wow. I had this old lady that babysat me, and she had this like orange tree in the backyard, and we stole some of the oranges. Like stole as in like they fell on the ground and we ate them because we were hungry. And because it was like 2 or 3 of us, and she beat us with a paddle.
Oh,
so I poisoned her with Ambien.
Wow. See, my older brothers and sisters watched me. I mean, there was a little violence because of it, but you know what? My older sister loved me. I mean, she loved me dearly, and that's why I've never really resented the car because, when I was in the hospital from toward the end of the ground war till June, and she's the only one that came to visit me. Well, my brother came too. My brother came with her, but she arranged the trip for some of my brothers and my sisters to go see me in the hospital. My mom couldn't be fucked, and my dad couldn't sober up. How's that for fun?
Jeez.
I pretty much raised my brother.
I feel like one of the biggest differences is that these kids whine about it more than we do.
I mean, we'll get together and talk about it. I mean, there's nothing to whine about. It is what it is. I mean, it happened.
Exactly.
No, I'm just saying that like that's what millennials and Zoomers, they're like, why did you guys have it so great? And it's like, we just didn't bitch and whine about it all the time.
We didn't.
Yeah,
I mean,
I recognize that I have anger problems as a result and a whole mess of other issues, but I don't want to throw a parade about it.
Well, none of us thought we'd live past 20, so we're kind of happy
No.
to be alive, I guess.
No, we were supposed to die before 2000.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I swore we were all going to die in nuclear fire. I mean,
How
I
many
just thought
of
that
you-
was how it was going to go.
How many movies were out there that like remember the dreaded 2000 2K bug? You know,
Well, how
everyone's gonna
many
go
of you?
down.
How many of you on New Year's Eve on 1999 stood there with a beer in your hand, waiting?
Yep.
Because in the back of your head, you knew you were going to see that flash. Because
I was overseas.
our parents wouldn't be able to resist just one last fuck you to us, which is what they're doing now.
Yeah.
I was honestly too busy babysitting people on mushrooms from 99 to that New Year's 99 to 2000. I was drunk off my ass, and that was the Piss Jesus night. I didn't care about Y2K. Piss Jesus was urinating on the floor.
I was working that night.
Like I said, I was
I'd work.
overseas. 99. I was in like, where was I?
I was
in Perth.
I was watching my parents, my aunt and uncle, and their hippie friends, or aging hippie friends, all get utterly shit-faced, start wrestling and throwing things, and then start talking, screaming and yelling about the shortcomings of their marriages to each other.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. It's funny. I saw a cartoon once that sums up what happened with Gen X. It was, you know, the father said, I'm not going to be my father. The mother's picture said, I'm not going to be my mother. The child said, screwed up and do it in interesting ways.
Yeah.
You know, I want to apologize to the millennials and Gen Zs out there that were raised by Gen X. I'm really sorry. We should have beat you more. We should have blocked. We should have sent you outside to play in the rain.
Well,
when you were
first off,
sick, we shouldn't have sent you to the hospital and just said, deal with it.
RALT'S?
Yeah.
Again, I will repeat this again and again and again. There aren't enough of us to have produced the millennials.
No.
There weren't enough Gen Xers alive to produce that many millennials, and most of the people who, most Gen Xers who did produce millennials were those losers who got pregnant in high school.
Hey! Now my kids are millennials.
Really? Well,
Yeah.
Wait, did you have them early?
Yes, I did. You're goddamn right. We did.
Wow.
Get it over and done with.
No, we did it for a reason.
Most Gen Xers, statistically speaking, most of us waited till later to have kids.
And you were fucking retards, and I said you were retards at the time.
Well,
you know why?
Yeah. Why?
Because I grew up fucking poverty, so I saw these kids with like being raised by their grandparents or by really old people, and they didn't have a childhood because old people didn't like. So me and my wife were like, you know what? We want to be able to chase the kids and take them to the park and carry them to the shoulders, take them to the lake, take them to the river, get up in the middle of the night and go, let's go to Disneyland. And so we had them early while we were still active and could still run around and have a good time with them. And that's what we did. We had ours early. So we're all our friends were like, oh, we waited till 30. You know, they're in their 40s trying to deal with a teenager. And we're like,
but no.
You're speaking my life, Rault. I'm 44. My kid's going to be 13.
Janelle's the norm. I'm serious. Janelle is the norm. We produced more Zoomers than we produced millennials.
My cousin, who's a year older than I am, just had her first kid.
Yet Gen X has waited till late in life to have kids. We're having Zoomers. We're not having millennials for the most part.
The reason I waited so late is because I was pretty much forced into. I was pretty much forced to work with children. So the children I worked with, guess which generation they were? Millennials. I was like, children are evil. They are so spoiled, so rude, and so selfish. I never want a child. So when I quit working with children when I was 30, I was like, oh, hey, it's other people's children. I can do better. And so, yes, I was 30 when I got pregnant with Chris.
The culture I was in, you had your kids early because you're going to die. I mean, it was just statistics. You were going to die. So we had our kids early because that way we could love them and be there for them. I mean, like now I can't fucking walk a city block without I can't walk 100 feet without my cane. I can't imagine trying to raise a little kid. I mean, I can't.
Well, have you seen those, speaking of, have you seen the pictures of women who are, this is recent, I've been seeing it on social media and on the news. There are women out there who are 58 to 73 years old that are just now having their first child.
The boomers, of course.
What?
52 to 78 having their first kids.
Well, remember, the people in their 50s are
Okay.
Gen Xers, but yeah,
Not by much.
They were doing what,
yeah.
like froze their eggs or something?
They just got sperm donors. These are women who decided their career came first and now they want to have a child. And it's like, are you fucking crazy? You're probably going to be dead by the time your kid graduates from high
That's
school.
sort of like my aunt. My aunt was this, I don't know, she was like the super hot aunt that she was like an aerobics instructor, and then she was like a bridge inspector or something for a while, where she climbed down the bottom of bridges and looked at the different fatigue tracks and everything. And later on, she ate a bad hamburger, the first hamburger she had ever eaten in her life, and it had, you know, what is it? That bacteria.
Salmonella.
But
botulism.
That's it. Yeah, I think that's it.
Oh,
and she got super sick, like super sick. She almost died. And so the restaurant like gave her a big settlement, like a few $100,000. So she decided she would have a kid. So she adopted a kid at like, I don't know, 50 or something.
Jesus.
And so now she's 70, and she's got this boy that she's basically raised to be a girl.
Oh God.
And he's
got a boy that he's raised to be a girl.
And he is, I mean, like, if you're talking genetic material, I mean, this kid like could have been like, I mean, he could have been like an athlete. Dude's like 6'3". He runs like a deer. He's about 200 pounds. Good looking kid, but he acts like a girl. He wears dresses. He wears like pearl necklaces and like weird. So he can't keep a job. He got hired at Lowe's for $17 an hour. They fired him in 3 days.
Damn.
I will never forgive the second wave feminists of the 60s and 70s for deciding that you could raise boys as girls.
They made a whole fucking movie about that trauma. I'm going to give a spoiler here for
Williams
people who
doll.
haven't seen it. Sleepaway Camp.
Sleepaway Camp.
That movie. I mean, that movie is the perfect example of why you don't do
What
that.
movie?
Serial killers.
Yeah. Serial killers. Most serial killers were forced to cross-dress by their parents.
That is true.
That is very true.
You know, and you know, oh God, there was a big thing in the 60s and 70s to make your boys sit down to pee. Because it would help reduce toxic masculinity.
My brother in the 90s got that. He was born in 1990.
The lady who raised me tried that shit.
Bad for boys.
What?
It's physically bad for boys.
Yeah, my wife goes, it's physically bad for boys. I mean, they did that shit with, oh, you can raise a boy like a girl and they'll come out more empathic and better. It's like, wow.
I can't even talk about some of the things that have happened to this kid and that has happened. Like, they wanted me at one point to be sort of a role model for him because I didn't have a family and he was young enough, and they wanted me to like do that. And I'm like, okay, so I took him for about a summer. Couldn't stand the kid because of the way she's raised him. Like, he just walk into other people's houses, just walk into them,
and he'd like, well,
he'd be like, well, Mom, let me do that. And then, you know, well, I told him, I'm like, dude, you're not, you know, in your subdivision anymore. You're in the country. And if you walk into somebody's house, they may shoot you before they look at you. So stop.
Especially if you're a weird dude in a dress.
So
I'm open. I'm sorry, I got daughters.
So then he wanted me to do, he wanted to learn how to do the like streaming thing. And I'm like, okay, I'll take this seriously. If this is what you want to do, you know. But, you know, it's not. And then he started getting into it. And I'm like, okay, you don't actually, you just want the money or the fame that this does. You don't want to do anything with it.
Huh?
You know, yeah, I said, you're going to have to just be streaming every day. It's going to be boring.
No,
you're going to have to learn to be entertaining. You're going to have to learn to take clips of yourself. I you know, showed him like a bunch of those, like, you know, was it Share Serve or whatever, you know, all the different like free skill video kind of universities that you can find. And I was taking him to several of those, and I'm like, look, you can learn how to do these kind of things. You can acquire these if you want. And he's like, no, I don't want to do that. I just want to like get in front of this and do that and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that's not the way it works.
Anybody that comes to you and says, I want to be a YouTube streamer for a career, you should hit in the head with a mallet because, they're...
Yeah, Skillshare. There's just a bunch of different names of them. I'm sorry. I didn't remember it explicitly, but I just remember him not wanting to put in the work to do anything. And then he just, like, I was repairing the electrical system, most notably the radio and the dashboard on a car because I wanted to sell it. It was just like a project for the summer. I bought a cheap car. I was going to repair it and then sell it for more. So I was doing that and I'm repairing it and I got my soldering iron out there. He flipped the soldering iron on and then grabbed the tip of it.
Enjoy those second-degree burns.
So I immediately put him in the house and I'm like, okay. And I didn't want to tell my aunt, but I'm like, your son is too stupid to do anything that I know of. So.
Oh man. I think the worst part was there was lesbian couples who had to approach male friends to teach their boys how to piss standing up.
Oh my God.
Wow.
That was in Washington. And it was like, I'm not whipping my dick out in front of your fucking kid. No, just teach him. It's like, it's inappropriate for me to whip my dick out in front of your kid. Can you teach him how to pee? He knows how to pee standing up. All boys do.
How do you not be like, kid, grab it, aim it, go?
Because the only thing he had seen was his mother sitting down to pee. So he's what he was doing is he would sit down to pee and he'd sit there with his legs open like his mother's and he'd pee on the floor because, he's a boy. So just.
That's when you just grab the kid by the lapel, and you face him a certain direction and go,
Yeah. But he keeps peeing on the floor. It's like, well, yeah, because that's how men are designed. Oh God, that's like the whole thing. You know what? I heard the dumbest fucking thing from a millennial woman. I don't understand why men have to keep their legs open. I can put my arm straight and it doesn't bother my boobs. And it's like, I actually told one of them. I knew one of them in college who was bitching about this, and I knew her. I was like, here's 2 walnuts. She goes, what am I doing with those? I said, put those between your legs, right up by your clit, and then smash your legs together. And she's like,
that dumbass woman from Britain who made that chair project that went international.
Oh God!
Where men had to sit in the chair that squeezed their legs together, and women got to do the man spread. And when the newscaster sat in it, he said, "Ow, no, you can't sit in this." And she's like, "What?" She's like, "Yeah, we're not meant to do that." It's like she had the realization right there, watching the guy get his nuts squished. Oh. So that's why you guys spread your legs. It's like,
did you know that's actually
a bitch?
Dumb fuck.
That's actually a torture technique.
Oh.
That's literally a torture technique. You run a belt around their knees and crank it down.
Oh.
Isn't that kind of what the guy did? But he cut a hole for it, and then he's smacking at the bottom in the Bond movie.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, and I've seen people, I don't, women, I have breasts, but I don't have to, I can sit there with my legs closed. Well, your shit's all internal. I'll tell you what, why don't I go get a fucking baling hook and I'll just yank all that shit out and we'll see how you feel when you close your legs. It's these people aren't being corrected. They're being celebrated for their stupidity, and we've got to stop it. I mean, God, half of our problems are because people are fucking dumb. And fuck.
Well, I mean, at this point, what was it? They said that
letting Gen X off the hook
in the past 10 to 20 years or something that mental disorders have skyrocketed. They've more than doubled. And some of that is, being a former psychiatric professional, some of that is true, and some of that is just because people diagnose anything as a mental disorder.
We fucked up our kids in new and interesting ways.
They're like, give the kid sugar, he has the zoomies. Oh my God, he's got ADHD. No.
Yeah.
You just gave him too many fucking candy bars.
Let him run around out in the fucking yard.
Remember in the 90s when they said sugar doesn't make you hyperactive? And so they were saying, no, it's ADHD. Sugar causes no hyperactivity. It's like, are you kidding me?
I was hyperactive. You know what I used to do when I needed to stay awake? I drink liquid Caro syrup.
Yeah. No.
And it was like fucking crank.
No, I believe it.
They're just zoom.
I'd start the day with grenadine and Surge.
Oh God,
that's another one.
My goodness. You guys,
Surge was
you guys
fucking great.
Surge was the best fucking thing ever. I miss it so much.
That was so much sugar.
I used to wash Wyvern down with Surge.
Oh,
what was that cola? Jolt Cola.
Jolt Cola. Jolt was great too.
I remember Jolt.
Jolt was amazing.
250 milligrams a bottle.
Now they repackaged it as energy drinks.
Yep.
Have you guys seen? They have one
energy
called
drinks.
Redline, and Redline is not caffeine.
It's Coke.
It is. It literally like recreates the simplex in your brain. Like, yeah, I was gonna say when you take cocaine.
Oh, Jesus.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it was trucker speed.
I mean, pretty much.
I can tell you though. I can tell you why all this shit started. It was when they declared the end of history, and nothing from before matters.
Which is a communist concept. Marx came up with that.
And I remember hearing at the end of history and being like, that's not how reality works, buddy.
That's called that's called an apocalyptic doom cult.
What pisses me off, what really pisses me off is 8 years ago. We'll go with actually it was 2012. 2012, 2014, somewhere in there. When people were warning about Russia's military buildup.
Yeah.
And warning about the fact that they were trying to buy uranium from all over the world to rebuild their nuclear program. And one of our highest leaders said the Cold War called. They wanted their politics back.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
And now the same side that screamed that is now screaming to go to war with Russia.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, no Democrat ever gets to talk to me about Russia. Not one time. I don't want to hear it. Because their party spent the better part of the entire Cold War giving away national secrets.
And kissing their ass.
And saying we need to be like them.
No, don't you remember when Bernie Sanders got married? He went to the USSR
Moscow.
for his honeymoon.
Yep. Oh, let's not forget when Ted Kennedy literally asked the Russians to interfere in the 1984 election. Literally asked them. Matter of public record. But it's just, God, I stay out of politics because it frustrates me so bad because both sides are full of retarded morons.
Yeah.
It's like,
well, that's because both sides a long time ago decided they were going to work for whatever the policy of their party was and not for the people.
Well, even then, it's the same fucking policy. I mean, they make sure that no change fucking happens. They make sure that, the American, both sides don't represent the American people anymore.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like they're serving themselves, not the people, and so that's why I stopped caring. I was like, it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter which one of you does anything because neither of you care about the people. You just care about,
your money.
RALT'S.
Your little game.
Wouldn't you agree that there seems to be some really bizarre behavior coming out of them all now that they realize death isn't that far away no matter what they do?
They are trying to burn the world down.
They are, all of them are acting so fucking weird.
Well, what it is for decades, the entire medical industry has been focused on keeping boomers alive.
Yeah.
I mean, they once the baby boomers realized that they might die soon, it was like the entire medical industry shifted to save them. And now that they realize they're past it, there's nothing that can save them now. Their idols are dying off. They can feel age. They can feel death's claws on their, in their heart. They can feel death's breath on their back. They don't want to leave anything for anybody else. They want, the baby boomer philosophy has always been, fuck you, I've got mine and yours. And they don't want to leave anything for anybody.
I wish I could disagree with you, but I can't.
Well, they don't. I mean, they don't give a shit because they don't have to live with the consequences of what they're doing, and they know it. And it'll be fixed by the time our grandkids are in danger.
Yeah,
they've been saying that for decades.
Well, I thought it was hilarious when Social Security started running out sooner than they'd planned.
I knew that shit was going to happen. You know why?
Why?
Because number one, the boomers kept Gen X from getting jobs.
Yeah.
So we never got the high paying jobs to pay into Social Security. And the other part is a large percentage of boomers didn't work until they were almost 30.
Really?
You know, well, there was the hippie movement. Think about it.
Oh, yeah, good point.
They didn't and even then, how many boomers worked as contractors and never paid into Social Security?
See, it's funny you bring that up because my stepdad, he was a contractor, but he made a point to pay into Social Security because damn was he counting on that money when it came time to retire. And he and I were talking about it because we have our publishing company. He says, well, how much are you putting in from your company into Social Security? I go, none. And he looked like I had punched him in the face. And he says, well, you have to. I go, no, I don't.
Nope.
I don't have to put money into something that I'm not going to get back out.
Nope, I'm not going to because my kids won't get it. I won't get it.
And
I don't even want to pay federal taxes anymore.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm tired
I'm
of paying
sorry.
taxes.
I'm sorry. I pay federal taxes, and where does it go? Grifty Z.
Yeah.
And this new thing. Oh, apparently Mr. Burns is in the White House.
Oh, that.
We're going to block out the sun. Yeah, because the human race has a great track record. I guess I better buy a fucking parka.
Well, the brightest guy he knew, sucked cocaine off of 14-year-old girls in Thailand or something. So
no, Ukraine, literally Ukrainian 14-year-old Ukrainian hookers, and that's the other thing. For all the shit they talk about Ukraine was the number one producer of child porn and child prostitution in the world before they were invaded.
Interesting.
I don't understand how that man is able to drive 172 miles per hour down the whatever highway, sucking crack off his fucking steering wheel. After he did that, if there was an ounce of sanity in the world, somebody would have already assassinated him, so that know that line doesn't continue.
Well, no, it's the whole point that he's above the law and he knows it.
No, that's what I'm saying. Somebody above the law should take this dumb shit.
That's where America's at. Is our political representatives are now above the law. The rich are above the law, and it used to be Hollywood dystopian movies in the 80s. This is the worst dystopian ever. There's not a single fucking good thing about it. The music all sucks. Yeah. The music is all fucking generated by a dozen fucking producers to produce the same fucking sound. I literally rolled through the new radio stations and it sounded like the same song. The singers all sound the same. The music is fucking garbage. Okay.
I mean, I'm sorry. Listening to the radio years ago.
Nickelback is better than 90% of the music that comes out. I like Nickelback. They are. Nickelback is better than 90% of the music that comes out. The movies are fucking trash. Our bread is fucking too expensive. Our circuses suck. And, the powers that be lord it over everybody, that they're above the law. They can do insider trading. You wouldn't believe the shit that the fucking Congress and the Senate has done. These motherfuckers have bounced more checks than a fucking white trash girl on a Saturday night. I mean, fuck. They bounce checks. They get parking tickets. They get busted with hookers. Nothing happens.
I mean, they're about to burn America out of our, standard loan status. We're not going to be the standard anymore. And we're not in a lot of countries. We're already losing it in a lot of countries.
And everybody's replacing their dollar with whatever China's monetary is.
China's about to be like, oh yeah, we'll take over. And the bad thing is, they own enough. They own like $1 trillion in securities that would have to be paid back by U.S. by U.S. security. So that means that they're just waiting until they can completely break us.
Well, Japan. Go ahead.
China is not long for this world either.
No,
because they're behind. They're
a trash fire.
They're upside down on population.
They have a serious wine glass with a broken stem for population metrics.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they have a broken
their
stem
population
wine glass.
Now is bigger than the population after now. And so they're going to be...
They're eating fried rocks, okay? I mean...
I saw that.
A lot of the East Asian countries are in deep shit. It's not just China. South Korea is in huge trouble, and so is Japan. Like, their population is fucked.
Well, America's not far behind.
Oh, I know.
You know, but what do we have? We have all these people going, "Oh, don't have kids. Kids are too much of a pain."
And I love that.
Okay.
Don't have kids, but the same people that don't have kids that turn around and say, "Oh, we have to open up mass immigration because there aren't anybody to do these jobs." We don't. You know what? I'm going to say it. A lot of Gen Xers would have had a shit ton of kids if it wasn't so goddamn expensive. It used to be, you know, when we were born, the hospital bill was like $300. By the time we were ready to have kids, actually the price of having kids has gone down. Because in the 80s, the price to have a kid was like $65,000.
Yeah, but we were told not to have kids too. Like,
Oh,
it
yeah.
was a big deal. You know,
They told
made
you
a
that in high
huge
school.
thing.
Save the
should
earth,
not
don't have kids.
You know,
Really?
absenteeism.
They didn't say that to us in high school. Where I went, no, it wasn't don't have kids. It was have kids and help fix the planet.
It was don't have kids, help the planet.
It was don't have kids. My my stepdad was part of a zero population growth group where they would go out and you know, hand out pamphlets and beat the drum saying, you know, basically, if you know, don't have kids, or if you do, don't have, you know, try to keep it as minimal as possible.
Well, I mean, what was one of the major epidemics?
Then
AIDS.
you know, you're contributing to the problem.
Wait, Phil was also a part of that shit?
Oh yeah. He also worked
Zero population groups. I remember.
What are they called? Abortion clinics.
Lovely.
Jesus.
So I mean, we were told not to have kids, whereas the boomers were told the opposite: have as many kids as you can. And the greatest generation, because they fought so hard to get to where they could have kids, they were like, have 1 million kids. You know, sit at home and have sex with your wife until, you know, both of you were quivering messes in the bed.
Yeah, and they, you know, and then they wonder, you know, they wonder why oh God. Well, here's what gets me. The rich want everybody to be impoverished serfs, but then think that they're going to be able to sell their products to who?
Yeah.
I mean, it's at the point now where if you work at a store, you can't afford to shop there.
They want everyone to be impoverished serfs and don't think anyone's going to show up to eat them.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like, that's funny because that's sort of like we were in the Western days, right? Where they would buy everything on credit and then hope to sell it, and they literally couldn't afford the things they had in their own shop.
Yep. I mean, and that's like they're like, oh God, what was it? It was something that but it just basically boils down to the company store. I think it was Google did it.
Well,
and
again, yeah.
It just blows me away, you know. And the sad thing is, they didn't have to be like this.
No.
And if you want to know, if, you know, you millennials and Gen Zers out, I mean, you millennials and Zoomers out there who are listening to this, you know, once you're past my rant, it didn't have to be this way. The very people who made it this way are the ones pitting you against each other and against us. They're the ones that destroyed the most prosperous nation on earth so that they could fuck in the back of BMWs and they could all pretend to be the Wolf of Wall Street. They destroyed companies that had existed for over a century, and they shipped everything overseas. They downsized everything. You know how you see all those registers in the stores and there's never anybody there? When we were growing up, those were always manned 24/7. Your job as a cashier, you had a stool because you didn't leave the cashier. You sat right there, and that was your job for 8 hours a day. And you know, you used to get lunch off. You used to get paid lunch. You don't anymore. And they did it. They downsized everything. And you don't want to know why? You want to know why you get called in? Because Fred showed up. Fred didn't show up because he's on a meth rampage. It used to be that Joe and Bob also worked there, so that when Fred went on his meth rampage, Joe and Bob could pick up. But see, they got rid of Joe and Bob for downsizing so that they could give their shareholders greater profits. So they call you in on your day off.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's like the companies like Home Depot have a great name, but Home Depot used to be a store or a warehouse of professionals.
Yes.
Not of kids who were taught on computer programs, but of professionals, carpenters.
Yeah, it was when you got busted up too much to go out and do construction. You worked at Home Depot.
Well, I want to make one other point, okay?
Go.
As bad as everything was and is, right? Because remember, post-Obama was pretty rotten.
Yeah.
Even with one hand tied behind his back, Trump in one term was able to fix a huge chunk of it and give us a great economy and jobs again just by closing the border and starting to nix all this shit. One guy.
Yeah.
And they hated him for it.
Think about that.
They hated him for it. Yeah.
One guy could fix it that easily, that quickly, with the entire establishment trying to stop him.
Because I know when you get right down to it, I can tell you what a Zoomer wants. He wants the same thing I want at that age.
Yeah.
He or she, they want a job. They want someone to love them. They want to be able to afford a place to live where they're not sharing it with a dozen people and they're not crammed in like rats. They want to be able to have pride in themselves. They want to be able to go to work and feel, and earn a living wage. They want one of the parents to be able to stay home with the kids and, so that the babysitter's not raising them. And that's all they want. And if you give that back to them, I would love for the Zoomers to get what, our generation didn't get. Because our generation was, you need two incomes. Your wife needs to work. And you know what they did? As soon as they realized that Americans bought into the two income system, they raised the price on everything.
Yep.
Again, I repeat, though, it took one guy, in less than one term, to turn it around, which means we're not doomed. They want us to think we're doomed. That's how easy it is to fix. Think about that.
Well, the biggest thing is that it stopped spending. I mean, they keep saying, they keep like buying into Keynesian economics, and they're like, oh, we can just keep spending and then just, make more money.
See, and what they don't get it's not late stage capitalism, it's oligarchism.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's company store, it's debt slavery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If that's not part of capitalism, debt slavery is not part of capitalism.
That's
because
they hate us because we don't have debt.
No.
You and me.
Yeah.
We've done everything we can not to have any debt.
We have zero debt.
I own a house and a car. That's it. Because I decided because I couldn't drive anymore. I gave my wife a car.
But no. I mean, Trump was able to get us energy independent, was bringing jobs back, bringing back manufacturing.
They turned that energy independence around real fast.
Yeah.
Oh my God! They immediately shut down the Keystone Pipeline, causing people to lose thousands of jobs. It was unbelievable.
You want to know why? That it has to be this way is bullshit. We could fix it so easily.
Yeah. The whole reason they could shut down the Keystone Pipeline is all the oil moves on rail. And Warren Buffett owns the railroads, and he donated massive amounts. And that's why we got to get this fucking money out of it.
Yeah.
We got to get these people out of it.
Speaking of the railways, you guys, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, but there's been a huge crisis with railroad workers because they're not allowed time off. They don't get to take any holidays. Even if they're sick, they have to come in because we have so much depending on the rails.
I was going to say, we probably
and there's
don't
been
have as many
strikes
anymore.
going on, and the
and
rail
they're not
workers are falling over dead from exhaustion.
They're not
I mean, that's the same thing as like a lot of technical jobs. Like they've been told forever that those are the icky jobs. Nobody wants to do those because it's not a lot of money and it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of money.
You should have Mexicans do for under the table.
Yeah.
I live in a railroad town, and I live in a railroad and cattle town. And part of the problem is the railways are not very well maintained once you get out of the Midwest. They're really bad. Once you go on the other side of the Mississippi, the railways are not maintained where the fuck. And the other thing is the companies won't hire more people because they downsized it to the bone. And now of course they forced the road workers back to work. But I mean, you just saw it with a fucking train, a bridge that had been warned that it was trouble for years, finally collapsed under a train, and now you've got fucking toxic chemicals in the river.
Yeah, half of Ohio is not a place to be in right now.
Yeah.
I can't remember where the bridge collapse was, but that was last week.
Well, I mean, they had like 3 or 4 accidents in Ohio in like a couple of months. It was crazy.
Oh, fuck. We had a train derailment. We had a train derailment here. It wasn't big enough to make news. I mean, it jumped the rail, but turned out They don't, first everybody in town was saying it was sabotage, and it came through that no, it was just an accident. That shit's going on in the Pacific Northwest where they're throwing down fucking train derailers.
They're just really dumb.
Well, they don't punish this shit anymore.
Yeah.
They let these people get away with it. And I would love it. I would love it if I would be thrilled. I would be thrilled to death if the Zoomers and the millennials got what was promised to us that the boomers took away. I would love it. I would love to see it where, they go in with a high school diploma and they get hired at a company that's going to promote from within instead of, doing what they do. They don't promote from within anymore.
No.
I would love to see all that. They're like, oh, you don't want us to have. No, I would love for you to have it because I'm not a fucking dick. I don't care. Red, blue, millennial, Zoomer. I don't give a shit. I want you to have a job where you can support your family. I want you to have a house with a two-car garage, 2 cars.
The truth is that's better for everybody.
Yeah, I want you to have it because, then you'll feel better about your life. I want the American dream to come back, because what did they take from us? They took the fucking American dream away. In the last 12 years, they took away the American dream. It's gone.
It's bad when you have immigrants that have come here. They've applied for their visa and everything. They've been here for, 25 years or more. And they left to come here to have a better life. And you hear them say, I never thought America would lose the American dream. It's like they came here to have a better life for them and their kids. And now they're like, what the hell is wrong with you?
And, they're telling you, oh, the American dream is racist. The American dream was never racist. The American dream said no matter what your skin color, sexuality, ethos, creed, religion, or anything else,
in the work, you got a chance.
If you can put in the work, you've got a chance. If you can't put in the work, let's find something you can do.
And that's the difference.
We'll get you a job holding dicks.
Equal opportunity, not equal outcome. And all this equal outcome crap is destroying everything.
The right to pursue happiness, actually attaining it is not a right.
Right.
Yeah.
And everybody thinks that happiness should be the default state. Fucking 30,000 years of history, happiness was something people struggled to attain. Hell, people struggled to reach contentment.
I mean, if you read the history books, like the actual history of the journals of even like the Greatest Generation, which everybody's like, oh, look at them, they had it so easy. No. For one thing, no. And then two, when you read, they were always sad. They just didn't. I mean, what else? You either what was that in Shawshank Redemption? Get busy living or get busy dying.
Yep.
Pick one.
And it is what it is.
That's all you got. That's what you got. Get busy living or get busy dying.
It just gets me because, they're so busy trying to turn the generations against each other. They're so busy trying to turn, people against each other based on their skin color or what country their ancestors came from before they got to America. And they're so busy doing it and they're buying it hook, line, and sinker.
I hate all that slavery stuff because it's like, how far you want to go back?
That kills me that people actually think slavery was invented by the United States. I'm like, slavery is actually still happening, but not in this neck of the woods.
Yeah, they don't want to talk about it. Or like, what is it? Like I saw somebody say Algiers, well, if France didn't want Algerian immigrants to uprise, they shouldn't have, colonized them 300 years ago or 200 years ago. And I'm like, oh, are we going to talk about the blacks that Algiers was, leading through the Saharan, African trade route? We're going to talk about that?
How far back are we going to go? How far back are we going to go?
Exactly. And it's the thing. It's like, look, there's not an inch of soil in the world that
isn't covered in blood
bled over and didn't have slaves for it to work the fields. Okay? There's not an inch.
Because that's how they survived. I mean, survival was fucking tough.
Yeah.
God, you're going to lose your fucking channel tonight.
I don't care.
I mean, it blows me away.
Go ahead, sir.
I mean, it blows me away that people think life was so easy before now.
That's one of the big problems, I think, is because in the education system, they're teaching, these kids. This has been going back, like, with the millennials and everything. Even at the tail end of Gen X, they were trying to shove this stuff down our throat. Everything was nice and happy, and nothing bad ever happened, except in the U.S., where we're the big bad guys. It's like these people think that there was no slavery, there was no war, there was no poverty, disease. It breaks their brain when you're like, you need to learn your history.
Yeah, well, like even like the Native Americans, like I always talk about, like, yeah, some sad stuff that went on there for the Native Americans, and there was some stuff where we weren't fair. Now let's go back further. Let's talk about the Comanche, the Comanche and the Central American with the Indian, when we made 27 separate treaties, and they literally their last chief was born because the daughter of the ambassador, the American ambassador, who was a doctor, his family was killed. His wife had her breast cut off and dragged through cactus fields. Their youngest child was dragged behind a horse through a cactus field, and their daughter, who became the mother of their last chief, was kidnapped, raped, and enslaved, but then became one of their people. And it's like, okay, so you're telling me that we should just have accepted that, I guess?
Slavery actually did not end with the South. The 5 civilized tribes actually would not give up their slaves. They had to send in a group of, I believe it was federal marshals, sign a treaty and pay them money because they would not give up their slaves. And they were slaves that they had raided off other plantations. And lo and behold, they were all female and children. They had raided for sex slaves.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's fucking disgusting. Like the hypocrisy. I'm sorry. The tribes, we did horrible shit. But you know what? So did you. Stop acting like you're a victim.
The Native Americans were a bunch of brutal ass savages, just like the rest of them.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the thing, is that it was a war and we won, and they don't like it. That's really what it comes down to. It was a war, and it was a long war. It was like a 20-year war.
It was longer than that. It was like try about 200 to 300 years.
Okay,
all right.
But go ahead. Sorry.
So we've been kicking ass and taking names for the last hour and 45 minutes, and I'm loving every minute of this, but I'm crashing hard because I took Xanax and fireworks outside.
Gotcha, baby.
It really sucks. When that adrenaline kicks in, when you come down, holy fuck.
Oh, have you ever had so much adrenaline that when you start to come down, you throw up and it tastes like adrenaline?
Yes, I have.
I hate that. Because your body's like, shit, what do we do with all this adrenaline? A friend of
mine was a bouncer at a strip club, and he used to tell me that he would take what do you call it, a bounce or whatever of cocaine, so that he could wake up enough to go to sleep.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Damn.
The other thing I was going to say, for those of you who missed it, I think George actually did get to hear it. George, you wanted to get my alien stories. There is a video in the live streams called Alien in a Human Suit ? And I tell all of them. So you can check that out. But more importantly right now, get Boobs of Steel.
Yes.
It's going to be available on the 10th. I should be going on Yang's show this Thursday to talk about it.
Yay.
And
very cool.
So, and while we're at it, you should have all of RALT'S books. And as soon as Buddy has his book finished, you should have that too.
Yes.
And remember, it's not as bad as they want you to think it is.
No, like I said,
they want you to think it's bad.
Yeah.
Trump was able to fix most of it in less than one term. That's how much we can. It's not as bad as it sounds.
It really isn't, and they want you to think it's bad so that you give up. So that instead of fixing our infrastructure, they can send money off to still fucking potatoes.
Yeah, you just got to stop
thieving goblins.
You have to stop the immigration.
The will to get them fucking out of office.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, oh god, I don't know. We have walking skeletons. There's like zombies in office. Right
Remember, the number one medication prescribed to Congress and the Senate is Alzheimer medication.
Oh my god.
Says a lot about their decisions, doesn't it?
And the second biggest thing that the pharmacies deliver, adult diapers.
Oh.
Jesus.
Half of them literally shit themselves.
Can you imagine?
Remember when Jerry Nadler
Can you imagine
shit
the
himself like a
smell
couple of years
that
ago?
Floor?
Do you guys remember when Jerry Nadler shit himself on live TV like a couple of years ago and was like
Yep.
doing the waddle out of the press room?
Yep.
Yeah, fuck.
Remember when our politicians were thought of as like, ex, like they were just like 40, 50-year-old grizzled effing, veterans. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
the kind of people that if they had to, they would take a gun, throw a grenade, jump out the window and shoot somebody.
Or at least, they'd worked in a factory for 20 years.
Yeah, they were hardworking, something, maybe farmers. Now we got I don't know, a dude that's
lawyers,
like a geriatric nobody that can barely move.
80% of them are lawyers.
Yeah.
Anyway, good night, people, because then she's got to go to bed. Don't step on any dicks.
Yeah, and you know what? Make groomers afraid again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember,